Mischievous, mysterious, and sometimes downright dangerous. Both have fascinated and frightened people for centuries. Some see them as tricksters, others as protectors, perhaps even the stuff of nightmares. But are they truly different? Or just two names for the same kind of entity? This is Pantheon Mythology, and today we're exploring the question, are fairies and jinn the same? Speaking of nightmares, the last thing you want is something lurking in the dark, or worse, a bad night's rest. That's why today's video is sponsored by Mantis, the guys behind the best sleep masks out there. I've been using the Mantis Sleep Mask Pro and it's a complete game changer. With 100% blackout design, it ensures total darkness, letting you get the best uninterrupted sleep. The adjustable eye cups mold perfectly to your face, and breathable materials make it ridiculously comfortable. Mantis Sleep is leading the pro-nap movement because good sleep isn't just a luxury, it's essential. Head to mantisleep.com and use the code Pantheon at checkout for 10% off your entire purchase. But wait, there's more. To show our love this Valentine's, we're offering an amazing deal. Buy a mask before February the 18th and get 50% off any mask accessory, perfect for treating yourself or someone special. Big thanks to Mantis Sleep for sponsoring this video. Let's get into it. Across cultures, stories tell of beings that exist just beyond human perception, entities that can slip between worlds, interact with our reality, and follow rules that are entirely their own. They are feared, respected, and sometimes even summoned by those who dare. Fairies and jinn are both described as powerful, elusive, and unpredictable, sharing many of the same traits. Their legends are filled with strange bargains, unexplained disappearances, and encounters that blur the line between myth and reality. Could these similarities be coincidence, or do they hint at the shared origin buried deep in history? Fairies and jinn are both said to exist alongside humanity, just out of reach, hidden in realms that sometimes overlap with our own. But where they come from? That's an entirely different story. Fairies have been part of European folklore for centuries, especially in Celtic beliefs. In Irish mythology, they're often linked to the Ísí, supernatural beings said to live in an invisible world parallel to ours. Some believe they're the last remnants of the Tuatha De Danann, a powerful ancient race that after being defeated, retreated into the land itself, becoming the Fair Folk. Over time, stories about fairies shifted and evolved, blending with medieval superstition and local legends. Some describe them as nature spirits, protecting sacred spaces, while others portray them as mischievous tricksters, or worse, dangerous beings that steal children and lead travelers astray. They're often tied to forests, rivers, ancient mounds, and burial sites, places where their presence is said to linger, and where humans are warned to tread carefully. Jinn, on the other hand, emerged from a completely different cultural landscape, that of pre-Islamic Arabian beliefs. Long before Islam, people believed that jinn inhabited wild, untamed places like deserts, ruins, and caves. Unlike gods, they weren't worshipped, but they were feared and respected. They weren't bound to a moral alignment. They could be helpful, hostile, or completely indifferent, but they were always unpredictable. With the spread of Islam, beliefs surrounding jinn became more defined, integrating them into religious teachings. According to Islamic scripture, they were created by God from smokeless fire and exist in an unseen world called Alam el-Ghaib. Like humans, they have free will. Some allow religious teachings while others reject them. Their actions depend entirely on their nature and choices, making them figures of both fascination and fear. Stories of jinn forming pacts, causing mischief, or even possessing humans have spread across the Middle East and beyond. adding to their reputation as beings that walk the fine line between our world and something much stranger. Despite coming from vastly different backgrounds, fairies and jinns share some striking similarities. Both are said to exist in hidden realms, separated from humanity but capable of crossing over. The fairy otherworld is sometimes said to exist just beneath the surface of the land, while the realm of the jinn is believed to exist alongside ours, unseen but ever present. Their interactions with humans can go either way. Fairies might reward kindness and respect, but offend them, and you risk misfortune, or worse, abduction. Jinn, too, can be helpful, but those who seek their power often find themselves biting off far more than they can chew. They aren't gods. They aren't exactly demons either. The biggest difference? How they're perceived today. Fairies are mostly tied to folklore, evolving over time from ancient spirits into the mischievous and sometimes eerie beings we recognize now. Jinn, however, are deeply embedded in religious belief, considered real beings within Islam, and subject to judgment. They exist in the grey space between worlds, unpredictable, untamed, and not to be underestimated. But their true power isn't just in their presence. It's in what they can do. Fairies and jinn aren't just elusive. They wield supernatural powers that make them both fascinating and fearsome. Whether they choose to help, harm, or simply play games with humans, their abilities make them beings that should never be taken lightly. From shapeshifting and illusion to mind-altering tricks and hidden knowledge, their influence on the human world is undeniable. One of their most notorious abilities is shapeshifting. Fairies are said to change their form at will, sometimes appearing as radiant, otherworldly beings to lure humans in, or as animals to move unseen. The jinn share this ability, but their transformations tend to be far more ominous. They take the form of shadowy figures, monstrous creatures, or even living fire. Unlike fairies, who sometimes use their glamour for enchantment or mischief, jinn are often described as taking on terrifying forms to instill fear or assert dominance over those who cross their path. Invisibility is another shared trait, allowing both fairies and jinn to exist alongside humans without being seen. Fairies can fade in and out of sight using their magic, sometimes revealing themselves only to those they choose. Jinn, however, are believed to be naturally unseen, always present, yet just beyond the limits of human perception unless they will themselves to be noticed. Perhaps one of the most unsettling powers they possess is their ability to warp human perception. Fairies achieve this through glamour, a form of illusionary magic that can alter appearances, make objects vanish, or create entire false realities. Many tales warn of people who step into a fairy ring, only to return home to find that decades or even centuries have passed. Jinn, while not typically associated with time distortion, can manipulate the mind itself. They are said to whisper into human thoughts, cause hallucinations, or even take full control through possession. Their influence can range from subtly misleading a traveler to complete dominion over a person's body and actions. Both beings are connected to hidden knowledge. Fairies are often believed to possess secrets beyond human understanding, from ancient wisdom and lost treasures to knowledge of fate itself. However, they rarely share this freely. Those who seek their guidance often find that every answer comes at a price. Some legends suggest that jinn can overhear conversations from the heavens, making them sources of prophecies, cryptic warnings, or dangerous misinformation. Others claim they can pass along divine or hidden knowledge to those who summon them, though their motives are rarely clear. Where the two differ most is the extent of their influence. Fairies are often tied to nature and the unseen world, rarely interfering with large-scale human affairs beyond curses, tricks, or personal encounters. Jinn, on the other hand, are sometimes believed to shape fate itself, influencing kings, wars, and entire civilizations. They are also more commonly linked to possession and exorcism, making them a frequent source of fear in religious and spiritual beliefs. Both can be tricksters, allies, or agents of chaos, but where fairies tend to distort reality, jinn impose their will on it. Whether through illusion or direct control, Their powers inspire both wonder and terror, and across cultures, the warnings remain the same. Never take them lightly, and never underestimate what they can do. Neither fairies nor jinn fit into a single mold. Across cultures, they are described in a staggering variety of forms, some eerily human, others monstrous, and many defying clear categorization. Their appearances are often tied to their nature, shifting between beauty and horror depending on their intentions. Some are bound to specific locations, while others seem able to appear wherever they please. Fairies, for instance, are not limited to the tiny winged beings of modern imagination. The Sidhe, particularly in Irish folklore, are tall, strikingly beautiful figures who dwell in the otherworld, sometimes appearing as noble rulers or warriors. They are often associated with ancient burial mounds and hidden realms beneath the land, emerging to interact with the human world in unpredictable ways. But not all fairies are graceful or benevolent. The redcaps of Scottish legend are small, goblin-like creatures said to lurk in ruined castles, staining their caps with the blood of their victims. Unlike more ethereal fairies, redcaps are entirely physical and alarmingly fast, impossible to outrun once they set their sights on a victim. Then there are the sluagh, spectral entities believed to be the restless dead, flying through the night in search of souls to steal. In some tales, they enter homes through open windows, dragging away the spirits of the dying. Jinn, too, exist in many forms. The Ifrit are powerful, fiery beings, often linked to vengeance and destruction. Some stories depict them as malevolent and nearly impossible to control, while others suggest that a skilled magician might bend them to their will. The Marid, by contrast, is associated with water, known for their immense strength, pride, and independence. Often depicted as the most powerful of the jinn, they are stubborn and difficult to bargain with, making them a favourite in tales of wishes and magical contests. Then there are the ghoul, nightmarish creatures that haunt graveyards, preying on travellers and feasting on the dead. They are particularly feared in Arabian folklore, associated with deception, cannibalism, and the ability to shapeshift to lure their prey. Some jinn are said to take human shape, blending seamlessly into the mortal world, while others remain invisible, lurking just beyond human perception. Even within their own mythologies, both fairies and jinn are not always clearly defined. The lines between them blur, with some fairies resembling spirits of the dead, much like the sluagh, and some jinn acting as protectors rather than tricksters. Their unpredictability is what makes them so compelling. One tale may describe a jinn or fairy offering aid, while the other warns of their deceit and cruelty. Neither fairies nor jinn can be pinned down as a single type of being. They exist on a spectrum, sometimes ethereal, sometimes terrifying, and always unpredictable. The vast range of forms only adds to the mystery surrounding them, ensuring that no two encounters are ever the same. Throughout history, both fairies and jinn have been known to interact with humans, though these encounters are rarely straightforward. Their behavior is unpredictable, shifting between acts of generosity and moments of cruelty, and those who cross paths with them will often find themselves at the mercy of rules that they don't fully understand. Unlike spirits that follow a strict moral code, fairies and jinn act according to their own nature, which makes them both fascinating and dangerous to deal with. Fairies are infamous for their trickery. While some stories describe them as rewarding kindness, others warn of their more sinister tendencies. They are known to lure humans into their world, sometimes through enchanting music or mysterious lights, only for the person to return and realize that years have passed in what felt like moments. They have also strict customs that must be followed, such as making offerings, avoiding certain places, and never speaking of them disrespectfully. Breaking these unspoken agreements can lead to misfortune, illness, or even being snatched away entirely. In many tales, people who eat fairy food or accept a fairy's gift find themselves bound to the fair folk, unable to leave their realm. Some fairies seem to enjoy playing pranks on humans, swapping a newborn with a changeling, or leading travellers in circles through the woods for hours. But others act with real malice, taking people away permanently or punishing those who stumble into their domain uninvited. Jinn interactions follow a similar pattern of unpredictability. Some ignore humans altogether, while others can be friendly, forming bonds or even offering guidance. But many legends caution against seeking their help. Jinn can be easily offended, and disrespecting them, whether by trespassing in a place they inhabit, or speaking ill of them or attempting to control them, can have dire consequences. Unlike fairies, whose influence is often tied to nature and the land, Jinn are believed to have a more direct impact on human fate. Stories abound of those who strike bargains with Jinn, only to regret it when the price proves far higher than expected. Some tales describe Jinn as helping humans out of curiosity, while others suggest that any favour they grant comes with strings attached. Their ability to deceive is a recurring theme, and in some cases, a Jinn may pretend to be helpful only to later reveal their true motives. Islamic tradition specifically warns against summoning or engaging with Jinn, as their true nature can never be fully known. Both fairies and Jinn can be appeased through certain rituals, but their exact rules vary. Some cultures believe that fairies must be given offerings of milk, bread, or coins to keep them from causing harm, while others say that simply acknowledging them aloud invites trouble. Jinn, on the other hand, are often believed to live in certain locations, and disturbing these places without permission can lead to misfortune. It is believed that iron, salt, or specific prayers can drive them away, but nothing is ever foolproof. Despite their differences, both fairies and Jinn demand a level of caution. Encounters with them come with unspoken rules, and those who ignore them often suffer the consequences. Both are known for offering gifts or making deals that turn out to be double-edged, teaching an important lesson. When dealing with the supernatural, nothing ever comes without a cost. When it comes to how fairies and Jinn are perceived, the main difference isn't just in their powers or behavior. It's in how they fit in with belief systems. While both belong to the supernatural realm, their place in religious thought is quite different. Fairies are firmly rooted in folklore, particularly across Europe. Over time, their roles have shifted, and they've become figures tied to mystery and magic. Many stories describe fairies as protectors of nature, guardians of sacred spaces, or even tricksters causing mischief. But despite their prominence in folklore, fairies don't hold a place in formal religious belief systems. They are not worshipped or given specific theological roles, but their presence is still acknowledged by those who believe in them. In some cultures, fairy beliefs are woven into local customs and rituals, and people sometimes make offerings to keep fairies appeased. Jinn, however, have a much clearer place in religion, especially within Islam. According to Islamic teachings, Jinn are real beings, created by God from smokeless fire. They have free will just like humans, which means they can choose to follow religious teachings or not. Jinn are not simply supernatural entities tied to folklore. They are believed to have the power to shape human affairs, even possessing people. Islamic tradition places great emphasis on avoiding interaction with Jinn, warning against summoning them due to their deceptive and potentially dangerous nature. While fairies belong mostly to the realm of myth, Jinn occupy a space that is both supernatural and deeply religious. They are not relegated to stories, they are part of a belief system, influencing the lives of those who follow that faith. Their power and role in human affairs are more defined than the playful or mysterious traits often associated with fairies. So, are fairies and Jinn the same? Both share some striking similarities. They exist in hidden realms, possess supernatural abilities, and are known for their unpredictable, trickster-like behavior. But their cultural backgrounds set them apart. Jinn are rooted in religious belief, particularly in Islam, where they are seen as real beings with the power to influence human fate. Fairies, on the other hand, are part of folklore, tied to nature and ancient traditions, often seen as magical beings linked to the earth. While they share traits, their roles in human life are shaped by different cultural frameworks. Are they the same? That's for you to decide.